My name is Olivia Hayes. This morning, I stood in front of the full-length mirror inside my studio office, adjusting the collar of my silk cream blouse. The fabric felt soft, cool against my skin, a small luxury I still didn't take for granted. Behind me, through the glass wall, I could see my design team busy at work, sewing machines humming, fabric rolls stacked like towers of color, sketches pinned across mood boards. This was my world now, and yet, part of me still lived in the shadows of my past. Just as I smoothed down my sleeve, my phone buzzed on the marble desk. A notification lit up the screen. High school reunion. RSVP today. For a moment, I froze. My chest tightened the way it used to all those years ago, back when I was the awkward girl in thrifted skirts and handmade blouses. The one they laughed at. The one they called the fabric freak. I exhaled slowly, my eyes drifting toward the framed cover of Vogue hanging on my wall. My designs. My name. And now, the same people who once mocked me would walk into that reunion dressed in brands they worshipped, not knowing that the label stitched inside half their wardrobes already belonged to me. The irony wasn't lost on me. Pride surged in my chest, but beneath it, a faint sting still lingered. Some wounds, even when healed, leave a scar you can feel. I picked up my phone, pressed yes on the RSVP, and whispered to myself, time to show them who I became. I was 17, the first time I realized how cruel people could be about something as simple as clothes. It was sophomore year at Jefferson High. The cafeteria was buzzing like always, trays clattering, sneakers squeaking on linoleum floors. I walked in wearing a skirt I had stitched myself the night before, pieced together from old fabric my grandmother had left in a dusty box. It wasn't perfect, I'll admit. The seams were uneven, and the color combination leaned more experimental than fashionable. But when I slipped it on that morning, I felt proud. Like I was finally expressing who I was. The laughter hit before I even made it to my table. Look at her, someone shouted. Did she sew that out of curtains? A burst of giggles followed. Another voice chimed in. Hey, Olivia, Halloween isn't until October. Heat flooded my face. I tried to hold my tray steady, but my hand shook so badly that the chocolate milk nearly spilled over. My so-called friends didn't step in. They just stared down at their food, pretending not to notice. That silence hurt almost more than the laughter. That night, I locked myself in my room. My mother sighed when she saw me cry, muttering, Olivia, maybe just try wearing normal clothes for once. You don't have to stand out all the time. But my grandmother, who lived with us back then, knocked softly and came in carrying her old Singer sewing machine, a heavy, black relic with gold engravings. She placed it on my desk, her wrinkled hands brushing mine. Don't let them decide your worth, she whispered. When they laugh, it only means they don't understand yet. Create anyway. Her words stayed with me, carved deep into the ache of that day. I ran my fingers over the cool metal of the machine, the way others might touch a sacred object. That was the night I promised myself. I would not stop sewing. I would turn their laughter into fuel. So while the other girls spent weekends shopping at the mall, I spent mine cutting patterns, stitching hems, breaking needles, and trying again. Every cruel comment, every mocking smirk, I poured into the fabric. I told myself, one day they'll see. One day, they'll wish they had believed in me. Back then, I didn't know how or when. I only knew I couldn't let their voices drown out mine. That was the first stitch in the story of the woman I'd become. After high school, I left Jefferson with more scars than memories. College wasn't an option, not with the bills piling up at home after Grandma passed away. But what I did carry with me was her sewing machine. Heavy, scratched, and slightly squeaky with age, yet it was mine. I rented a small studio apartment above a laundromat in Portland. The smell of detergent and steam seeped into my walls, but I didn't mind. I set up the sewing machine by the only window, balancing it on a wobbly, thrifted desk. That room became my world. Scraps of fabric piled in corners, sketches taped to cracked plaster, and late nights where my fingers were stained with chalk and pricked with pins. My first big break came in the most unexpected way. A neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, peeked into my apartment one afternoon when I was working on a jacket. Her eyes widened. "Did you make that?" she asked, running her hand over the stitching. When I nodded, she smiled. "My niece is getting married. Could you make her something? Something different." I didn't charge much, just enough to cover fabric costs, but when the bride walked down the aisle in a dress I had designed, people actually asked, "Who made that?" For the first time, the laughter of my classmates was replaced by genuine admiration. Soon, word spread. A tailor downtown, Marcus Lee, noticed my work. He was in his 50s, gruff but sharp-eyed. Instead of dismissing me, he studied my seams, my cuts, my sketches. Then he offered me something priceless. Guidance. "Raw talent," he said, squinting at me. "But raw doesn't win. Precision does. Sit here. Watch." For months, I learned under his wing how to finish hems cleanly, how to price fairly, how to survive in a field where women were too often underestimated. Marcus never sugarcoated. If a piece was sloppy, he said it. If it was good, he nodded once and moved on. That was his version of a compliment. The money was barely enough to scrape by. I ate ramen more nights than I'd like to admit, sometimes sewing until dawn with my stomach growling. But every time I thought of quitting, I heard Grandma's voice. "Create anyway." My first real win came when a boutique in downtown Portland agreed to carry 5 of my dresses. I stood outside their glass window the day they displayed them on mannequins. Customers stopped, pointed, walked in. I didn't tell a soul. Not my family, not the people from Jefferson. On Facebook, I posted vague updates. Keeping busy, or life's good. Inside, though, a fire was growing. With each sold dress, each custom order, I was stitching together a new life. One where I wasn't the girl they mocked, but the woman they couldn't ignore. Still, I kept it quiet. I wasn't ready to show them. Not yet. My success was my secret, like a seed beneath the soil, waiting for the right moment to bloom. And when it finally did, it would be dazzling. The reunion was held at a hotel ballroom in downtown Portland. I almost didn't go. Even as I slipped into one of my own designs, a sleek black dress with asymmetrical shoulders and a cinched waist. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I entered, my pulse racing like I was 17 again. The room was buzzing with laughter, chatter, clinking glasses. People hadn't changed much. The same girls who once mocked me now carried designer handbags like trophies, their faces frozen in 2 perfect smiles. The boys, now men, looked softer around the edges, some with beer bellies, some with thinning hair. Yet their voices carried the same arrogance I remembered. I caught a few double takes as I walked in. My hair was styled into loose waves, my makeup subtle but sharp. I knew I looked different but not unrecognizable. That was the beauty of time. It had polished me in ways they couldn't erase. Olivia? Olivia Hayes? It was Amanda, the ringleader back in high school. She gave me a once-over, her eyes flicking from my dress to my heels. "Wow, you look amazing. Where have you been hiding?" I smiled faintly, here and there. The night went on with awkward small talk, forced nostalgia, and shallow bragging. Someone asked what I did now, and I simply said, "Fashion design." Their eyebrows raised, but before they could ask more, the DJ announced a short break and people scattered to refill drinks. That was when it happened. The reunion committee had arranged for a local brand to showcase a few outfits during the event, a small runway moment to add flair to the night. My heart skipped when I saw the banner being rolled out. Hayes, the new voice of American fashion. My brand. My line. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A few whispered, "Wait, Hayes, isn't that Olivia?" And then the models walked out, one after another, striding confidently in my designs. Bold colors, sharp tailoring, fluid silhouettes. The room fell silent except for the steady beat of the runway music. Eyes widened. Mouths fell open. The same mouths that once called my clothes curtains were now speechless before the art I had created. Amanda turned to me slowly, her glass of wine trembling in her hand. This is yours." I let the silence stretch for a beat before I nodded. Yes. Every stitch, every design, Mine. The weight of the reveal settled in the air. People who once laughed at me were now standing in awe, their expressions flickering between disbelief and regret. One of the men, Jason, who used to call me Patchwork Girl in the hallways, cleared his throat.
So, wait.
Your haze? The haze? My wife just bought one of your jackets last month. Paid nearly $900 for it. I tilted my head. I hope she loves it. The color drained from his face. Everywhere I looked, people were connecting the dots, realizing that the brand they admired, the collections they'd seen online, the designs praised in Vogue and Elle, all belonged to the girl they once mocked. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small in their presence. I didn't feel like I had to shrink or hide. I stood tall, my shoulders back, my smile steady. And in that moment, the girl with the thrifted skirt was gone. In her place stood the woman who owned the runway. After the runway showcase ended, the atmosphere shifted completely. No one was laughing anymore. Instead, they hovered near me in small clusters, their voices low, their eyes filled with something between envy and guilt. Amanda approached first. Her tone was syrupy sweet, but her hands fidgeted with her clutch. Olivia, I just wanted to say, wow. I'm so impressed. You've really made something of yourself. Maybe we could, she hesitated. Maybe we could collaborate? I run a lifestyle blog now. I'd love to feature your designs. I let her words hang in the air. For years, she had torn me down, made me question everything about myself. Now, she wanted a piece of my success. I appreciate the offer, Amanda, I said gently, but collaboration isn't about convenience. It's about respect. And that has to come first. If you want to feature my work, start by featuring the voices of girls who are mocked for being different. Show them kindness you didn't show me. Her lips parted as if to argue, but she closed them quickly, nodding stiffly. Then came Jason. His wife trailed behind him, wide-eyed. Olivia, listen, I know I wasn't the nicest back then.
Kids are stupid, right?
But maybe you could help me out. I'm between jobs right now. I hear your company's growing. Do you have any openings? I studied him. The boy who once called me Patchwork Girl now looked like a man begging for scraps. A part of me wanted to laugh, but I didn't. Instead, I met his gaze steadily. I do have openings, I said. His face brightened until I added, but they're for people who bring passion, dedication, and humility. If you want to work for me, Jason, start by working on yourself. Own the way you treated people. Learn to respect the craft you once mocked. Only then would I even consider it. His smile faltered. His wife touched his arm, urging him away. Others followed with their excuses, their regrets. And to each, I gave a condition. Not punishment, but a mirror. To the girl who joined in the teasing, I told her to volunteer at a shelter where kids wore secondhand clothes, to understand that fashion wasn't about wealth but expression. To the boy who once shoved my sketchbook into the trash, I asked him to support his own daughter's art dreams instead of pushing her toward something practical. Every condition was about growth, about breaking the cycle of cruelty. I wasn't interested in revenge. Revenge is shallow. What I wanted was transformation. By the end of the night, their faces looked different. Less smug. Less sure. For the first time, they were confronted not by the girl they once mocked, but by the woman who had risen above them and who expected them to rise, too. I stood there, calm, unshaken. Because this time, I held the power. In the weeks after the reunion, I noticed small ripples of change. Amanda's blog, which once flaunted luxury trends, suddenly featured interviews with young designers who couldn't afford fashion school. Jason sent me a handwritten letter, clumsy but honest, admitting his cruelty and telling me he had enrolled in night classes to finally finish the degree he had abandoned. I didn't forgive them overnight. Some wounds needed time. But watching them take steps, even small ones, reminded me that transformation wasn't just possible, it was contagious. One quiet Sunday morning, I returned to my studio. The city outside was still, bathed in pale golden light. I unlocked a cabinet in the corner and pulled out the object that had started it all, Grandma's sewing machine. The black paint was chipped, the gold engravings faded, but when I ran my hand over it, I felt her presence. Her words echoed in my heart. Don't let them decide your worth. Create anyway. I set it on my desk, right beside the newest sketches for my upcoming collection. My assistants worked with state-of-the-art equipment now, but I kept this relic as a reminder. Because no matter how far I'd come, from that trembling girl in a cafeteria to the founder of an international fashion line, this machine was proof that beauty could be born from brokenness. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one with shaking hands, blinking back tears as laughter echoed down school hallways. If I could speak to her now, I'd tell her, hold on. One day, the world will wear the very clothes they mocked. And as I looked at my reflection in the glass window of my office, confident, calm, unafraid, I felt peace. Not because I had outshined them, but because I had finally outgrown the need to prove anything at all. I leaned back in my chair, whispered softly, almost like a prayer. They mocked my clothes once, but now, I designed the ones they dream of wearing.